Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in amusement park building Final Fantasy podcasts. I am your host, Caleb.
Whoa.
I am Joe.
And
I'm Andrew.
Yeah, special guest Andrew here. No, you're good. You're good. And he has his own little podcast that he's been doing for a while now, it looks like, and it's called Amusement Sparks. You want to talk about that for a second, just for the Ultima audience? I know you're going to release this on your feed as well. Just give them a little backstory as to what it's all about, and what they can look forward to.
So it's a theme park design show where it's like kind of next generation immersive, the sky's the limit on budget type of brainstorming type of show. So I'll choose a guest who's really passionate about a certain topic in pop culture, and then we casually kind of brainstorm a theme park around it. So it's pretty low stakes. A lot of it is very amateur, but also we're pretty excited about the media. So usually by the end, our like groundwork for the theme park is pretty amazing, and like there's some really crazy stuff in there. So it's a fun show. It's all ages, so you can like share it with your little cousin or whatever. But yeah, Amusement Sparks. It's on social media and stuff. And yes, I've wanted to do a Final Fantasy episode for a really long time, and I actually started listening to your guys' show to kind of find which, personality in that fandom I should seek out. And I've been listening to your show for like years now, and I've been like, these are the guys. But yeah, I just had to kind of build up my confidence to actually reach out and invite you, because it was pretty easy for me to get guests who I already knew. So yeah, reaching out to new people has been a little scary, but hey, these guys are super welcoming so far, so hopefully they keep that streak going.
Yeah, that's...
Well, don't piss us off.
Right?
If you piss us off, it's over. If you do that, you'll have to hear about it for the next 6 months from Joe every episode for about 5 minutes. Remember that?
Oh gosh, I guess you're right.
You remember that Andrew guy?
You'd be a real blemish on your series, man.
Yeah, I can't believe he didn't like my VR dance game, a DDR for Una. Like, I can't believe it.
Fuck! All right, there's another one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of the clean show, we'll see about that. All ages,
We'll see. Like I said, I'd like a challenge.
Well,
oh, this is gonna be one cocktacular challenge.
Yeah.
So let's get the fuck going and have us a goddamn fucking titty twister time as we get the cunting amusement park play going. I can't fucking just do that. All right.
That was so natural. Yeah, it just rolled right off the tongue.
Yeah. That didn't feel forced at all. That was good.
I don't know if titty twisting is really that vulgar, but maybe it is.
Well, we'll find out. You'll get like a 2-star review that's like, you said titty twisting and you didn't edit it out.
Right. Yeah, that string right there will just be a bunch of bleeps and sound effects, and then titty twisting, and then bleep, bleep, bleep. That's the one clean part. Oh, man. All right. So then I'll do an intro to mine, and yeah, we can do whatever. Welcome to Amusement Sparks, the theme park design show. I'm your host, Andrew Spahn, and with me today are two excellent fellows who are experts at Final Fantasy. They're from the Ultima Final Fantasy podcast. Who are you guys?
Oh, shit, we just did this. I am Joe.
And I am Caleb.
There you go. And so, could you tell us a little bit about your show and how you got into, or why you're into it, maybe?
Schweiss, you take this one. All right. So years and years ago, back when I had not all of my hair, but most of my hair, I knew a guy named Joe who would occasionally come over to my house and use my washing machine. Even though we weren't really that good of friends, for some reason he just did this from time to time, and I was like, all right, whatever. Watched a movie, and then we started talking about Final Fantasy, because one of our lifelong friends was into the series, and I had gotten him into the series, and we would discuss the possibility of maybe playing each of the Final Fantasy games. And at this time, Joe had a really boring, monotonous, driving-based job, and he wanted to have a sort of a companion podcast to our playthrough of Final Fantasy. He found a couple shows online, and they didn't really give him what he wanted, so he approached me with the idea of starting our own podcast that sort of filled that void. And whether or not we have is debatable, but we have been doing it for 5 years, and I think we've gone pretty in-depth on the series. It's been a lot of fun kind of doing a retrospective. We're sort of winding it down a little bit now. We're getting kind of near the tail end of the spin-off sort of series, but we've played so many of the games so far. It's been like, 30-ish Final Fantasy games at this point? A bunch of...
I think we're actually like 40-ish.
Counting expansions to the 11 and 14 MMOs. But we've put in the time, and I would like to think that we're at least quasi-experts on the series and can come up with an amusing amusement park. So that's kind of the backstory for us and podcasting. And really, I just got into it because, I don't know, I've always been interested in doing some sort of project like this, like something to gain, to like reach out to people and to build like some online community. And the podcast has allowed me to sort of do that. And it's been a lot of fun since then. We've met a lot of great people, and we've been a part of a lot of great shows like this one here, and it's been a blast. Like I've become, it's like a line of Coke every time I get on a podcast now. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, man. That's what we all need.
Yeah, and whenever I find a listener who like doesn't, and when they evade me, like I like bug them about getting on their show, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll make it happen," and it never happens. It just like eats at me on the inside, and I'm just like, "Ooh, you said, and now we haven't done it, and it's been years. It's been years, Void. Yeah, like get me on."
Void from Geek to Geek?
Yeah, from Geek to Geek podcast.
Is that Void?
Yes.
That was excellent.
Oh.
It's like, let me do it. He just won't. He won't let me have it. And it's like torture, you know? It's the dollar bill dangling in front of me, and the little guy with the fishing pole is like, oh, almost got it. Almost got it. So it's become like, I don't know, almost an obsession to be on as many shows as I can, just to get the experience of it. I enjoy talking, and I enjoy meeting new people, and the show has been a great way to do that. Like it's been amazing over the last almost 5 years now of us doing the show. But that's kind of why we started it, where we're at today, and yeah, why we could be considered Final Fantasy experts of sorts. So glad you reached out. It's funny that you were nervous, because like for us, it's really, if we can get the scheduling down, we'll make it happen. I mean, we've been on like this other show like 5 or 6 times now, and it's just it's always just a lot of fun. So glad you got in contact.
It's nice having somebody else do the editing too. Like, you know, you don't have to worry about it after the conversation. Like, I don't know. I love editing my own podcast, but like, I don't know, the conversation is the part where really, you know, the magic is, I think, or the raw material magic, and then you can kind of craft it through editing and stuff. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Editing, schmediting. Let's kick. All right, let's make our parks.
Let's do it. So,
walk us through this.
All of the worlds of Final Fantasy, and I don't mean worlds of Final Fantasy, there are a ton of worlds we could choose from to take inspiration for this theme park. What are you guys thinking? Is there a certain world you would want to visit from one of these games?
Ooh. As far as a theme park, we were discussing before the show. I think you wanted to do Ivalice, but I think as soon as Schweiss brought up Spira from Final Fantasy X,
yeah,
I think that's the winner in our book.
Yeah.
As far as like what we're gonna go ahead and do a theme park out of.
I mean,
I love that.
You got a big boss, an island, a Pacific Island sort of feel to it. Plenty of ride options available, and
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's a great world. It's a beautiful place,
I was just gonna say, I think it's so beautiful because it was the first one on the new platform. The new PS2. We got to really push the art direction here and make it something that's really gorgeous. And hey, we can really do convincing water now and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's awesome. For any listener who might not know the Final Fantasy X, universe or the look, do you think we could do anything to describe what it looks like to someone who might be new to the series, possibly?
Close your eyes.
Done.
And imagine Hawaii.
Yeah.
Plus anime.
And
you will have Final Fantasy X. Go ahead.
Sprinkle a pinch of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And you will have Spira.
And I would say some kind of, I almost just referenced Final Fantasy X as the kind of aesthetic of there's this sort of curved metal thing, this sort of motif in the architecture, I would say, that's a little bit sci-fi kind of mixed with fantasy. Wouldn't you say? It's kind of alien-looking metal bits.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Kind of looks like.
I mean, it's almost like the wreckage of a previous society, like a post-apocalyptic sort of deal. That's definitely the style they were kind of going for with the game. I feel.
And even that little necklace thing, that sort of almost Y-shaped, T-shaped. I think it's on Titus's necklace, I want to say. That little, it's used as a sort of stand-in logo for Final Fantasy X sometimes.
Yeah.
That sort of, I don't know, has similar lines and things like that. It kind of reminds me of that style.
Yeah, and that's the cool part about 10 is we have the super futuristic Xanarkand, and we also have the Pacific Islander style island. So we got so much range as far as the technology is concerned with this land.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really unique one. It's, I think, one of my favorite worlds, honestly, too. It might not be my very favorite game, but the world itself is super cool. Yeah. Let's see. So we can start pretty much wherever you guys want to, but let's just go for this. What's your favorite part of a theme park usually, Joe? If you've ever been to one.
Theme parks. I'll just say amusement parks.
Yeah.
In general. I gotta be honest, man. The only thing I do when I get into a theme park is first off, you eat. That's
pay a lot
one
for
thing.
the food. Yeah.
You pay a lot for the food.
Uh-huh.
And then you go on as many roller coasters as possible throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I'm not one of those people that hangs out and tries to win the big stuffed bear. I don't do any of that stuff. I really don't. Sometimes I'll do some of the thrill rides, but I mean for me it's roller coaster city. I mean,
so you like the sensation of your body being pushed to the limits and you being launched into the sky, and so those big action moments kind of are maybe what we should focus on.
I mean, that's what I do when I get into an amusement park. And I honestly don't understand people who waste their time in the little booths.
Right. Yeah.
That's insane to me.
And,
or getting a picture with you can get a picture with one Disney character, but if you spend more than 10 minutes getting pictures with any Disney character, you are wasting your time. Get to the next ride, darn it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the things I really like about theme parks also include sort of just the ambiance and looking at cool stuff. And there's a lot of parallels actually with MMOs. So because a lot of it is just kind of you're walking around and doing something sort of similar to what you normally do, but you're in a cool setting now. You have like cool views. Maybe there's some like things you don't get to interact with very often, and they're here as well. But that can be done in sort of like the queue areas, like when you're walking and getting in line for the roller coaster. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed with a lot of like non-Disney parks, especially. Like the part where you're waiting in line, it's just like a red metal handrail and concrete walls. Like, couldn't you have,
and weird looking people. The whole point of going to an amusement park is to judge other people as they walk by you.
That's true, but I think we could amp up the theming where it's like, the area where you walk through the line could at least look like, I don't know, a bar from the game, or it could at least look like a dungeon from the game or something. We have so many different sources of inspiration for the theming. I think that should be on point, even if you're just in line for all of the roller coasters. Like, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, for me, what I kind of look for is... So there's something about Disneyland. I haven't been to Disney World, but there's something about it. There's like a feeling there. It's like I don't know. There's something about knowing that Disney lived here for part of his life, and like this was the first one that he built, and he built it basically out of like love for the idea and stuff like that. In Disney World, they built to make it better than Disneyland in every way. And that's not a bad thing, but to me, I just wonder if it lacks the spirit, the spirit of the Disney.
No.
And
Disneyland is probably more pure. It's like the rough draft, or like the rough sketch of that really cool, Spider-Man cover or whatever. It has a lot more heart to it, even though it kind of looks crappy.
The cover is better than what the first draft was. Let's say all first drafts can be improved. And in Disneyland's case, it's called Disney World. And I'm sorry, like, I went to Disney World a bunch as a kid. And then that one day, I had I heard about Disneyland for years because I'm from Utah, so it's closer to California. So when people went on their big family vacations, they went to California and they went to Disneyland. They just did not have the same experience I had. And so they would always come back like, oh, Disneyland is the greatest land on earth. It's so, oh. And I went there as like a 14-year-old. And I got to say, underwhelmed. Everything is half as big. Splash Mountain literally has 2 drops in Disney World. It has one measly drop in Disneyland. Like, just the mountain itself, half as big. Like, everything about Disneyland, half as cool, half as many rides, half as big. And I'm just talking Magic Kingdom. I'm not even talking about the 3 other Disney World parks.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we see where you stand for sure.
No, Disneyland is nothing in comparison to Disney World.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Just you go world, you don't go back. It's Plato's allegory of the Disney cave. You just don't go back. All right, go ahead.
Schweiss, what do you like to do at Disneyland? Like, what really draws you to that park?
Honestly, I just go completionist mode when I go there. Like, I'm like, all right, we got these list of rides. This one's down. I cross it off the map, and then I'm like, all right, let's go do everything. I like doing awesome. I like the big thrill rides. Splash. The mountains are all cool. Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, the other mountains. They're all fun. I've been a really big fan. Yeah, the other mountains. I've been a really big fan of Indiana Jones forever, and I really like that one. It's really fun. There's not a whole lot to it. I finally went on Pirates of the Caribbean last time I went in September. That was really cool. But honestly, I think I'd rather go to Lagoon here in Utah than go back to Disney. And the reason why is because I love the roller coasters. I like the Rocket, which is this insane ride that like goes, I think it's like 200 feet in the air, and it's you strapped to this these seats, and it's like 4 seats on either side of this square column going up this square rod, and they slowly raise you up to like 250 feet in the air, and then they just drop you. Just straight up like drop you all the way down, and then
love those.
You bounce around. And that one, man, I love that. I love that ride so much. And last time I did it, I was like really like, oh man, this is a lot. I was like, this is so high. And every time I ride it, I'm just like, how much higher are we gonna go? And it's like another 100 feet, and I'm like, what?
That's
like,
awesome.
this is sick. And then my wife, she got me to do the Sky Coaster, which is they kind of strap you in a harness and they pull you about 150 feet in the air, and then they just drop you. And you catch.
Oh, you just like swing, right? Like it's a Superman style.
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. And she has like big cojones compared to me. Like for me, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, oh my god, this is too much. And but yeah, I kind of like that though. I like the thrill of it. I like the high speed. I like the feeling of my guts like no longer resting within my body. They're just kind of like, oh, like up in the air with the rest of the stuff. And I feel like Disney doesn't always offer that. You know what I mean? Like they have a couple really good ones. The Incredible Coaster was fun. The Cars one was kind of cool. It was a little like violent, but I mean, for the most part, it's just Cars? Yeah, it's the theme that makes it fun. It's the theme aspect rather than the actual rides themselves. So
you can do both. Like, if Disney had more thrill rides at the extremes of the park, like I think that'd be good for everybody. If you're a little kid, stay in the little safe space or whatever. If you're a grandparent, you can do whatever you want to do. But I mean, the thrill seekers should at least have something too. But something for everybody, I say. Yeah,
and I feel like that's why I like Lagoon a lot, is because they have more of that. I mean, that's what they were made for, But yeah, that's kind of usually what I look forward to. The things that I know are going to be a lot to handle, but I do them anyway.
Yeah, pushing the edges of what's possible. Okay, well, maybe we should start with coasters then. Like those can kind of be the tent poles around the theme park, and then we can put the smaller things, the restaurants and like entertainment venues and other little things like that sort of in between them, because you can't just do coaster, because
I disagree, but okay.
Yeah, that's fair. Non-stop coasters. Oh, that's awesome. Actually, you were talking about Indiana Jones. We recorded an Indiana Jones episode, and it was lost due to horrible audio quality, unfortunately. But the kind of unique thing about that was like to get from one area of the park to another, there was a roller coaster that was like a chase scene. So it was like, it was a roller coaster, but it was also a way of transitioning from one place to another. Like the entrance and exit were way far apart from each other from every single roller coaster. So it's like, if you want to get on a coaster, you're going on a ride. Like it's going to be a chase, and you're going to end up somewhere else in the theme park, and then you can kind of like explore from there. And of course you can go back to where you came from, but it's like set up almost like a story. I don't know that we need to do that for Final Fantasy X, but like, what do you think are the most like kind of pulse pounding, like cool adrenaline moments of Final Fantasy X that stick out to you guys?
Well, there is a part where they like surf on some cables from a ship down to stop a wedding. Like Tarzan.
Yeah.
in the Disney version. So that was immediately right there. Like that was the first thing, like the stop Yuna's wedding coaster.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't find like a good like name or like what the design would be, because it's just like in the game they're just on rods. But I actually have a different idea for a coaster here. Okay, it's called Jet's Muscle Coaster, and what this is a giant version of Jekt. The final fight in the game, like with the big sword and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's a coaster going around that whole entire part with like flames and crap, and so it's probably like a quasi coaster kind of like, but also a kind of thrill ride sort of thing at the same time.
Yeah, the whole time that Slayer knockoff song is raging in the background.
That sounds cool. Like I've actually never heard of that idea before of doing it where like, there's sort of an action-packed scene that you're observing and like you're kind of moving around it. Is that like how you pictured it? Like it's almost like you're like sort of one of those cool like rotating cameras, like the action and the combat is like down on the ground and like you're getting some of the repercussions of that, but the actual ride vehicle is sort of circling around it?
I would say like full on like roller coaster speed, right? Like a good roller coaster ride, but like with a huge jet swinging around a sword where you think you're gonna get hit, but you're not.
Wow.
And like flames coming out, and like the flame thing like turns off right before like the your car, your like roller coaster cart thing like tips down into a drop or something like that. Like it'd be like that. That's how I envision it.
That's super cool. And you could also do it where it's more of a slightly more human scale jet and possibly the party members, but you could have it where every time, like it's maybe even just a regular like store-bought roller coaster, like where there's curves and you kind of slow down and you get a chance to like look at the ground and stuff. You could have like animatronics of each of these battle scenes happening every single time you get to a corner, and they're located far enough from each other that you won't see two jets at the same time, although there are two jets at once. It's like whenever you are, going through this like thrill coaster, whenever it slows down around a corner, you see another little glimpse of the combat. And so it's it feels like that kind of, the energy of like running back and forth and like an action-packed fight, but on a much larger scale, because it's, the audience is actually on a thrill coaster, which is moving pretty quick. So you can't just have it all on like a stage, because you're going to be moving much farther than a stage would be. So yeah, either one of those
this roller
would work,
coaster is huge.
That could be two different theme parks, or two different roller coasters. I mean, the giant size jet and then the multiple iterations during different parts of the fight version of a different battle. Of course.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Schweiss, you got a coaster idea?
Yeah. So mine is gonna be the Jetshot Mach 3 or whatever it is. So it's going to be a real quick one, similar to the Colossus here in Utah. It's just like a double loop-de-loop is what the Colossus is. So it's like a 15-second ride. It's super fast, right? So it's going to do the thing where he like bounces it off his head, or he like kicks it a couple times, kicks it into the wall. So the coaster's going to be going straight, super fast. It's going to do a quick, like, 180, pull all the way around, come back to where it started, lift up straight. Hopefully no one's neck breaks. It's going to drop back down, and then it's just going to fly out, curve up into the sky, and then just keep going. About
into the sky?
Yeah, 400.
You off?
Yeah, 400 feet straight up, and then you just kind of come back down. It's going to be the Jetshot Mach 3.
Would there be a giant foot behind?
Yeah, there's a giant foot that launches it off.
How about it's a reverse coaster, so that everybody's like looking at this giant mechanical foot before it hits the cart, and then you guys go flying back.
You could do that. Yeah, we could have the foot, and when it starts, and then when he does the final kick, you just see the giant foot, and it just you bounce right off. And the whole time, there's like little sound effects of that during that cutscene in 10, where it's like all these rude things that your dad's saying, like "You were the woman, cry, cry, cry," like all this like insane amount of noise.
That's the soundtrack.
That's gotta be going in the line, like while you're waiting in line to get on the coaster.
They're just beating you down.
Verbal abuse.
This is hardcore verbal abuse. You're just like crying by the time you get in there.
Get people motivated for it. Yeah. Get people pumped. That's awesome. That's awesome.
You gotta cry again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then, like, the really hurtful stuff maybe plays during the ride, so it's kind of okay if you have some tears coming out. You're like, man, the wind really got to me on that.
Oh my god.
I was thinking would be cool to do a coaster based on on summons, like any specific summon really, but just I don't know, those cutscenes are so cool. And doing a thing kind of like the Ject idea, like the giant character doing some cool actiony stuff while the coaster moves around almost like the camera would totally work and be really cool. I mean, it'd have to be a gigantic animatronic or maybe I don't know, computer graphics or whatever, but it could be really cool. Oh, maybe it could be in VR, so then you could have the weirder, bigger effects. Like sometimes those cutscenes are extremely dramatic and over the top, and you could do that in VR. I mean, VR coasters, I don't know, some people don't like those, some people love them, but it could work for that concept, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you which of the summons would you choose?
I don't know.
Would it be Ixion or Ifrit or what else do we got?
I'm always an Ifrit fan, and that was actually the one I was picturing in my head, but I wonder, we should probably pull up a list of Final Fantasy X summons.
Well, there's Shiva, Yojimbo, Anima, Quetzalcoatl,
Dark Aeon.
Yeah, the sisters, the Mage's sisters or whatever. Shoot, yeah, I'm probably forgetting some. Bahamut, obviously.
Yeah.
I remember at Universal's, I want to say it was Universal Studios Orlando, they had a ride that later became a Harry Potter themed ride, but it was twin dragons is what it was. So it was two
dual
parallel
dragons.
Yeah, it was two separate roller coasters that were intertwined with one another. And I'm thinking you could do one that's a Shiva and one that's Ifrit, and they're two intertwined roller coasters with one another.
Yeah, and it could almost be a race
fire
too.
and ice.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Where one coaster wins sometimes, the other one wins sometimes. Yeah, that's kind of cool because you can't necessarily replicate combat with civilians like the park goers, but you can definitely do a race or something like that. Where it's still a feat of strength and a feat of these crazy cosmic entities, but in a less violent type of way.
How about this? How about we make it FF8 style, and they each have a little PlayStation controller, and they have to hold select and just hammer that square button until the little block icon comes up, and you got to stop. And then when it goes away, you got to pound that button again and get those extra hits in, and that's how you win the race.
Could be
oh my gosh.
Maybe that's a carnival game that's overlooking this roller coaster, and so one area is people who are on Ifrit's side, and then the other team is Shiva or whatever the other one would be. That's kind of dumb, but it's kind of funny.
So it's it's a dual ride where you've got the people controlling it from a different area, like a mini game, and then the people riding it are totally separate from that experience. And
if you do really poorly, it just chugs along and goes extremely painfully slow if nobody's over there mashing buttons.
Yeah. That's an awesome little interactive idea. Damn, that's cool.
I always love the idea of a giant PlayStation controller too. Instead of a whack-a-mole or something, it's you just have this huge, I don't know, 4 foot wide PlayStation controller, and you have to just jam on the buttons. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could work.
Would they pop up? Each of the buttons just pop up? And,
yeah, a whack-a-mole.
Like whack-a-mole.
That could work. Or maybe it lights up or something.
Do we know what the thing on top of Waka's head is called?
I think it's just a cowlick, isn't it? I mean, it's the cowlick from hell, but...
Okay, I got a thrill ride idea based on Waka's hair.
I'm so ready for this.
All right. So, I'm not sure what this kind of ride is called. At Lagoon, it's the pirate ship, but it's a giant ship... on a hinge, and it just brings you up so that you're 90 degrees, and then you drop down, and you just get, it's a gigantic swing with a ton of people on it. Gosh, I wonder what it's called in other places. Anyway, instead of a pirate ship, I'm just saying it's two heads of Waka plus like the hair, the weird quail hair. That's just like the shape of either side of this gigantic swing.
Oh, okay.
And we call it. Yeah, it's Waka's Quail Hair Ride is my working title.
Working title? Wow.
I wish I could show you the picture I just drew.
I imagine two heads facing opposite directions and the hair cowlicks touching.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. It makes sense. It fits in with the canon, and yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
and
everybody's hanging out.
I like playing with the sense of scale of things. Like on some coasters, like there might be like characters who are human size, like your size, but then there's somewhere it's like a gigantic thing, like you're riding on top of Waka's hair. That's awesome, man. No one's ever brought that idea up before, like playing with scale that much. That is awesome.
And the line, you got to have like just sound bites of Waka, John DiMaggio just going to town. Just like all his like supporting stuff. Getting you kind of hyped. Loop. Yeah, just a loop of like 20 seconds of Waka so that you're driven completely insane by the time you get on.
Maybe that's what all the queue areas are just like really annoying, like just beat you down types of sound bites. They just keep repeating over and over until like you're going to love this coaster because we're not going to be playing this for you anymore. Oh, man. Brutal. Speaking of Waka, what about a blitzball arena? With or without scuba gear? I'm not quite sure how it would work, but that's a thing that is iconic from that game, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible.
This seems like one of the shows.
Oh, like, yeah. Like a stunt show type of... That's
so
smart.
we have to hire the best underwater breathers in the world that are also stunt performers.
Underwater
in
breathers.
Order to put on a blitzball show every like 1.5 hours.
That's cool. Okay. I would go to it. Like the spectacle is really cool. You know, when you first start playing Final Fantasy X, at least if you're, a kid or whatever, I think I was like probably 11 or 12 or something when that came out. Wait, I was 11. Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was like, blitzball seems awesome. It's not realistic in our reality, but it's cool to see someone else play, a sci-fi sport.
I guess the other way they could do it is like they could have the wall, like they could have the big ball set up and like have some kind of like visual projection effect so that it seems like it's water. And then all the guys inside are probably like in ropes.
Wait, that's really practical. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Going a little slow motion. It's one of those things.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry, just a minor little thing. You could even do it where there's the big sphere, and then maybe 4 inches smaller than that is another sphere, and there's actual water flowing in between those two layers, and then inside is air. But, with the ropes and the amazing acting from our stunt team, they can act like they're underwater. And, to the untrained eye, it kind of looks like they're underwater because you're looking through water to see them. I don't know. That could be something. But, yeah, go ahead.
One of the great things about the 007 movie, Moonraker, is that zero gravity environments are just people walking in slow motion.
It's science.
Oh, it's so great. Sorry, that's awesome. My little tangent quip. Schweiss, you got any other ride ideas?
Man, ride ideas. Well, as far as like a big staple, I feel like we have to have the boat that they're all traveling on that gets attacked by Sin. We have to have a super interactive moment where you're riding this little boat ride and suddenly someone cries out Sin and lip flaps for about 10 seconds and they shoot that harpoon into Sin and Sin just kind of takes you guys for a ride. I think this could be one of the VR ones probably where you're in the boat but it's like in a room, and you got your glasses on and it's just like this super interactive experience, kind of like the Around the World ride at Disney, I imagine. Except for instead of smelling oranges and stuff, you just smell like seawater over and over again. It's just like smelly fish and the ocean.
You can smell the sin.
Yeah, you can smell the sin. It's a very different idea that comes to mind. It smells like shame and sweat, isn't that right? Smells like sin.
Smells like sin. Is the boat called Licky or Leaky or something? Like the name is... I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's something weird, yeah.
It sounds like it's leaking, like... No matter how you pronounce it, it's Liki. Leaky boat. So that's, I don't know, that sounds like a much more boring thrill ride. But yeah, dude, the sin thing would be awesome. It almost reminds me of like Call of Cthulhu, like doing the whole like you're sort of on a boat, but there's this like giant, kaiju type thing coming after you. That's like a super thrilling moment. Like that, I would love to see that in real life.
Yeah. Is that the Jaws ride where Jaws the shark bites the side of the boat that everybody's on?
Yeah, there used to be one.
Yep. I imagine something like that.
Yeah, just which is pretty thrilling. I think as humans we're
bigger
sort of
scale, of course,
to be scared of. I just said a scared. Oh my god, we're sort of trained, or I don't know, evolved or whatever, to be scared of stuff chasing our boat. So, yeah, we'll get on people's fears there.
Yeah. I've got an idea for another a Splash Mountain-y sort of ride.
Ooh.
Now there's going to be a little bit of innuendo here. I'm sorry, we got to apologize, but it's got to be where you're in like a boat, or like it's Yuna and Titus intertwined, right? And we're in like a dark space, and we're seeing projection of like the scene where she's like crying and they're in the water or whatever. But then the moment that they like kiss and then they go underwater, we drop way down into like a Splash Mountain-y sort of situation. Whoa. And we splash down into the water with the two lovers, and I don't know, maybe go around a few times and like a roller coaster-y sort of thing, a little bit more splashing, if you know what I mean, and then you come up for air later.
Oh my god, that's cool. You could like, do you remember the Sphere Theater from Final Fantasy X? And they have like those spheres. It's like their TV kind of thing, like those little spheres. I wonder if we could do it as like what we would call like a 4D theater in our reality, but like, a circular row of seating around like one of those spheres that can like play a video on it, but it can also like launch water on you and stuff like that. So you could do it. I mean, I know it's not nearly as fun as an actual coaster based on it, but if you have like one of those 4D theaters, you can just kind of show some cool scenes and like tell a short story from Final Fantasy X, while also, shooting water on all the people, and it being a little bit thematic because it's played on one of those sphere, viewer screens. I don't know how we'd ever get that to actually work, but that's not our job. We're just supposed to come up with a request here, and the R&D guys will figure it out.
Oh, I got one.
That's right.
I got one. So,
okay,
not a coaster, just a little ride. It'll be like a 30-foot in diameter circle area, and you need to run around and you need to pick up the crystals. But while you're trying to pick up the crystals, these random little boards will come up, and they're all very padded. So it's like you're in one of those like dual rings, where you spar with the sticks with the foam. It's foam pads, but they launch up super hard, and as you're trying to collect the crystals, they will just hammer you. And so you go out there, it's a solo game, you go out there and you try to pick up 10 crystals, and these ice shards are just coming up and just dominating you as you try to pick them up. So they spring up like a skateboard when you step on the end, and you're just trying to grab one and just... You just get like knocked out by this board.
That's awesome. People would totally try that. Like, if they get knocked off, they want to get back in line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Let's say we could mix it with like the Swiss Family Robinson ride at almost every water park ever, where you're like running across the little log things, but you're like jumping across platforms, and these things are just flipping up at random, just ready to take you out mid-jump.
That sounds a lot more fun than it should, I think. Like, that's like maybe not the best moment in the game, but I think in reality, like making a safe obstacle course version of that, it sounds a lot more fun.
Yeah, and that's like before you get to the parking lot, so everybody has to do it before they leave.
You have to earn your way in.
Yeah. You want to go home, you better get those crystals and watch out for those ice shards.
Wow.
I've got one quick run here. Do you know how they like have like the special like? I remember A Bug's Life had one of these, and then Shrek had one of these, and then Terminator 2 has one of these. They like make like a short film, and we all have like the 4D. Cause I'm basing this on your 4D thing from earlier.
Yeah.
It's like a 4D ride experience. I think with FF10 you could do something out of the prologue of like Jet and Oron and that kind of thing, and you just get like a good 4D like adventure video about like what happened in their past. It's not a very funny example, but I thought like legitimately if you were to have a Spira based amusement park, of course you would have to have the let's go get lunch and do the little movie ride kind of thing.
No, that works. And like for people who haven't played the game, like getting some of the story and seeing some of the cool anime hair, like that's a good thing for people.
There you go.
Yeah. I also think just walking around, like if we theme it to look like Xanarkand, that'd be so cool. Like it's a really unique looking area.
Hey, that'd be a good it's a small world after all kind of a thing.
Yeah. Where you're going through on the airship in the water, and everyone's just singing the hymn of the faith. You know, and it's just the chorus of people from Spira just singing, motivating you to go.
Okay, there.
To call.
I was wondering if the people on the ride had to sing the song. Like it just shows you the sheet music in front of you on the ride vehicle, and they expect you to sing it.
And if you're not good enough, Sin is not sated, and he will destroy you. It's back to the crystal game.
No.
Dude, I got one, and it's freaking awesome. Are you ready for this? All right.
I'm ready.
So you gotta have the freaking puzzles from FF10, right? So you gotta have like each of the temples has the puzzles. But I say we miniaturize all of that, and instead of like having to go pick up the spheres and like put them into place, we like create a big mini golf course that's like you have to like make certain shots in order to like open up like the next little area, and then it'll give you like the next golf ball, and you got to figure out like which hole each of the golf balls that you get goes to. It's a very complicated game of miniature golf. In fact,
cool.
around the ninth hole you might get a little stuck. This one will obviously have to be timed. Like, you can't be in there all day. But, yeah, that's my idea. It's like a mini golf course based upon all the temples that you got to go to and all the puzzles you have to solve in FF10.
Yeah, and there's, like, moving platforms screwing you over the whole time, too. You're just like, God, come on. Who made this game?
That sounds cool, though, like, as a mini golf course. Like, the same thing. Like, you take those really, like, I don't know, annoying or, like, often criticized moments of the game, and you make it into like a reference that's actually somewhat amusing or entertaining for like, a park goer. I was picturing the sphere grid when you were talking about that too, the mini golf thing. Like, so maybe there's like some other sort of sporty type thing, like, throw the ball through the thing, but it's like, I don't know, a big sphere grid, and you have to try to like knock them out in the correct order to like unlock more prizes or something. I don't know. It's another like sort of iconic ball-based moment of the game.
I would actually take the sphere grid and I have one of these little places that I never go, and I have like a dartboard for the sphere grid, and you have to like get your characters, like you have to like keep on making these shots, and if you get your characters like a certain stat to a certain level, you get like a prize or something like that. I don't know. That's a half-assed.
No, I mean that's cool though. Or like
idea.
there's a multiplier if you hit them in the correct order. Like you get a point just for hitting the target, but if you treat it like a real life Sphere Grid would operate, you gotta start and go in the correct order and everything. For doing like a people mover, kind of like a transportation vehicle, doing a giant Fahrenheit would be super cool. Like that airship, that would be like. I don't know, it's just such a unique thing, and like if you could kind of always see it on the horizon of the theme park around the outside, and it's just like a train basically, like you just get on that to go to a different part of the park, but it's always part of the backdrop would be really cool.
Schweiss, you got any other?
So I think a couple easy ones. The Toy Story ride. It's like, I think it's something Mania. It's where you come across a bunch of different screens and you have to like launch rings or shoot darts or throw balls and stuff to get points, right? I say we do that, but we make it the 10-2 mission with Yuna, that little mini game where she has to like kill all the flans and like take down the beasts and finish within a certain time frame. You take out the time frame by just having it as a 2-minute, maybe more like 5-minute ride, and you basically just go through and you have dual pistols, just like Yuna in 10-2, and you just blast away at the Final Fantasy things on your screen. It make it kind of like almost like an Area 51 sort of style, where it's kind of interactive, like you're sort of seeing it from Yuna's perspective. But it's you in a cart with 2 or 3 other people kind of spinning around and going to different screens that you can use the guns for, and you can shoot little bonus things on the side that'll occasionally pop up, and you can get like spells that you can cast to do extra damage, take out flans and stuff like that, and kind of save those up and do big nuke attacks to take out a bunch of enemies at once. And then at the end, you kind of just see who has the most points and sort of go from there. I think that would be
awesome.
An easy one to put in, and that's like one of my favorite things in freaking Disneyland is that that Toy Story ride. I'm like, yes, so many points to be had here. And they've got like the leaderboards for the day and the leaderboards for like that run, and for like your particular cart of people. So I think that would be a cool little interactive one. Not so much like thrill sort of deal, but just kind of a fun little thing to cool down with,
And something I like to kind of imagine is the next generation of theme parks is like making it a little bit more what they call gamified, where there's like you have kind of an ongoing score or like an ongoing virtual inventory of items. So like that would give those of us who mostly just like the roller coasters a reason to kind of try out everything in the park, is like you're getting more currency, or you're getting, you're unlocking different items or whatever. And then maybe if you get a certain score in that game, or like the darts game, or whatever, the button mashing thing for the summons coaster, you get enough points and then you get access or like an invitation to like a restaurant that's like only for like, top tier players or whatever. And that could be like that version of Xanarkand that's like the city that never sleeps type of vibe, where it's like all lit up at night and everything, the like ancient metropolis thing. Like it's not really something that exists necessarily like really, but it'd be a cool thing as like a reward, like a members only thing you can go to at night if you scored really well during the day. I think it'd be really cool if like maybe that's just what the whole park looks like at night, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, with those like weird light pole things that they have going on, like the hologram
it's
light
really
poles.
Cool and like very memorable visual, I think. And so like it'd be a cool place to like take your pictures and like I don't know.
Yeah, they'd have to have the band that plays that metal song just like on loop, like they just live there and all they do is just. That's such an awesome song, dude.
He's gonna lose his voice after a while.
After like a night. He just can't
speak.
speak.
It's just an animatronic. It's like, there's some It's a Small World characters singing that.
Oh, it'll be like the band at Chuck E. Cheese's.
After the tapes have started melting and everything gets A little creepier.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Little animatronic versions, yeah. That's good. That's good.
I've got a little bit of theater here for you. So obviously we got to have like a concert for Yuna, right? This is like where, we're gonna watch the show where all these like people that couldn't make it on Broadway are still in like doing a show at this amusement park at 2 and 4 o'clock every day. But this show is obviously there's got to be like YRP performing, and they'll perform songs from the game, right? All the songs from the game, all 3 of them. But then like in the middle of like the last actual song there is, like suddenly Sin attacks, and then the person playing Yuna has to make everybody do that damn theme in the audience. Like, everybody sing along with me. Ooh, ooh. And then like this giant animatronic thing of Sin is like, is like making damage or whatever, and everybody has to like play along with this thing until, they'll have like someone go attack the giant animatronic thing of Sin, like another thing, and it'll go away, and that'll be the end of the show. But yeah, that would be my interactive theater thing that they always have at these parks.
Not too bad. That's kind of cool. I mean, especially if there's like, a giant battle that happens at the end of it. That's better than just the song. I wonder if there's anything we could do with sending like Yuna's little sort of funeral dance thing on the water. Like, I wonder if that could be like part of like a like they do in Las Vegas, like those big like fountains. That's the word. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, fountain show,
fireworky things. I don't know, something like that would be kind of cool, even if it's not all the time. Like if it's only at sunset or something. It'd be really kind of cool having like a one-time only per day performance. With the spirits going off everywhere, and I don't know. This is another cool like iconic scene.
Yeah, like in the middle of the food court area, kind of like they have it at Disney, where you can kind of sit down at your, with your
like
$70 burrito, and you can just watch the show and tell yourself it's worth it.
What kind of food should we have? Do you guys have any ideas for like themed food?
Lots of calamari. I think it'd have to be like fish and sushi.
Yeah,
it's got to be a lot of Islander food, right?
Yeah, chocobo legs.
I think there's got to be something Lulu themed with like 2 large chicken breasts. It's some like roasted cactus or something on the side. I don't know. That's
the voluptuous Lulu platter.
2 large chicken breasts, slightly wrapped, half wrapped in some like seaweed.
Some sexy seaweed.
Yeah, on a black plate.
Classic. Wow,
that's what I got.
Interesting.
That's what I got for a food dish. You just eat quail. Like that's just one of the items for Waka.
Yeah, man. It feels kind of wrong, It's like I'm eating one of my brothers. Oh man, we could do that. We could do that plate of spaghetti that the one people give him, like what is her name? Riku gives Tidus in the very beginning of the game, where he like is starving to death, and they just bring him out this like plate, and it just looks like spaghetti. It's like super cuisine style, like spaghetti, like perfectly al dente noodles, like delicious sauce, heavy on the meatballs, just spaghetti, and you have to eat it with your hands. Like there's no silverware for the spaghetti.
It's an immersive dining experience.
There's got to be one place called it's Macarena Temple. I'm sorry, Macalania Temple.
Oh my god! Come on, Titus.
And that's like the big restaurant, but there is a room in there. It's called the Macarena Temple room.
And that song is just playing.
It has the song.
Oh my god!
It's Macarena themed. Like it's the only place in the whole entire amusement park that's not FF10 themed. the Macarena room in the Macarena temple.
And all you do in there is dance, and then every time they say, hey, I Macarena, it's
Macarena temple. Gosh, I can't believe that's in that game. I can't believe that's in that game.
Yeah, it's really random.
That's probably the most random thing in the entire series, actually. Like, it's the only thing that's like that, as far as I know.
Most random cultural reference joke.
Yeah, reference. Yeah, that's true.
That outside of the context, or like outside of that song existing, that conversation makes no sense.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the closest thing to that is 15 with the cup noodles.
It's like, what would happen if Titus just went, for a second, and someone would be like, what are you doing? What was that? Why did you just say I? Obviously, you misheard the man. I understand that, but why did you just go, I? Please, explain this to me. All right, sorry, Schweiss.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most disconnected moment in the series, other than I think the cup noodle is the closest thing we've come to that since.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, referencing our reality, our pop culture.
Yeah. It's the ultimate flavor experience. Trademark 2019.
Remember to sit and eat that at a Coleman chair, at a Coleman table with a Coleman lamp beside you.
Yeah, there's no shame. It died that day. I think it died when I saw that picture of Noctis with a cup noodle helmet on, and instead of the armature swords flying around him, it was a bunch of forks with different meats. I was like, there it is. That's the death of Final Fantasy.
I can't imagine that Nissan has a whole bunch of disposable advertising income because their product costs nothing. So, what do you think they gave them? $10,000 to put it in their game?
I'm trying to figure out who paid who,
Yeah, Final Fantasy really needed some sort of ramen to be put in the game, and they couldn't design their own, so.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they paid top ramen.
Oh, my goodness.
Or top cup noodle, right? Yeah, cup noodle.
They didn't pay top dollar for it, but they did.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
You got to put the chocobo things in there, right? That's got to be all the kid rides. All the kid rides have to be chocobo themed.
That's
and
cute.
Balloons and crap. You got to pop balloons. You're on this big course against a bunch of other people, and your chocobo can go side to side just a little bit, and you're trying to pop these balloons that as soon as you touch them they'll pop or whatever. They'll be sprung to do that.
That
and,
could definitely be an arcade game too.
Yeah, something like that. That could definitely be an arcade game for sure.
Something. I mean, it would work as a ride too, but then you have to put the balloons back out. But hey, that's something for somebody else to worry about. We're just designers.
That's right.
I think we got to have the DDR pad with the dance moves. The only song it has is the dance moves to the Real Emotion at the beginning of Final Fantasy X-2. And it's a three-player experience. It's you and your backup dancers behind you, and you guys just go to town on that. Tournaments nightly. See who gets to win, and they get a signed copy of the soundtrack. If you come on top, but it's 3 to 5 DDR pads, and it's just your whole team, and you guys got to choreograph it as a group, and you get a team score, and each team sort of faces off against each other, getting their real emotion on.
That's easy. Yeah, put another game in the arcade. That's awesome.
One of the funny things about Disney parks for me, or any movie theme park, I guess, they have the characters walking around. Now with FF10, you can get some big cactars running around. I'd like to see a guy in a skin tight green suit just like making these like weird cactus poses or cactar poses. That would amuse me, but it's funny. It's like all the non-human characters, they're like big like mascots almost, right? That's what their suits are like. But if it's a human character, it's just like a really attractive person in cosplay, like really good cosplay. That's always funny to me.
It is kind of awkward. Like, shouldn't you have like a fake head on or something?
Yeah,
it's too real.
It's just like, oh, the girl from Mulan is an Asian gal who's very attractive, and then we'll go. Cinderella is a very attractive blonde woman, and we just keep on going down the list. Like Captain America is a very chiseled dude, like, as Captain America. Like, you never quite, like, it's just that, even if it's a cartoon or whatever, it doesn't matter. But my goodness, if it's like Sheriff Woody, he's a big plastic-looking dude. It's not just like a dude in a cowboy hat. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's funny to me. That's just funny. Random tangent.
You could make it like a costume of like the PS2 graphics. Like, that's just like, like you're wearing like a Power Rangers outfit basically, but it has like printed on it the PS2 level detailed graphics of the character. It'd be really weird looking, but I think it'd be amusing.
Yeah.
Or you could do it like, it could be a little chibi too, where it's like a character with like a big head, and then Waka's hair is like 3 feet tall on top of that, and it might get rid of that weird. I don't know if it's an attraction thing with you or like a phobia, but you have some strange feelings about those people, so I'd like to help settle that for you.
Yeah, I do. Oh, strange feeling. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, all the people that come into the park dressed as cosplayers, like. They gotta come. There's gotta be like some sort of like special thing that they can go to that no one else can go to, right? Like
what about like
a bar or something?
The 10-2 dress up thing, like that system.
Oh,
could we replicate that somehow, or like? I don't really have interest in this, but doing like a fashion show type of thing. I've never played 10-2, but from what I hear, it's kind of like a dress up game. I think it was from your episode, actually. The last thing
There's
I heard.
There's got to be a fashion show. There's got to be a fashion show, right?
Obviously.
It's in between the other. It's in between the other like big theatrical thing. Is that there's a fashion show and no singing. There's just like, the just YRP walking around, and then just like there'll be suddenly a bright light, and like someone that looks like the other person, just like dressed in new clothes, just like suddenly pops up. And we just go, woo! We just like admire the craft of the clothing, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, there's one for you. Sure.
Yeah, that's something.
Definitely all the drinks, they all have to be in like those glasses that are like almost a almost a sphere. Every drink in the park has to be served that way.
The bar's going to be a mess, like from cleaning up all those, because. It's not super practical, but hey, it's a living, right?
Yeah, every day at sunset, the Kilika part of the park, the Kilika part of the eating area just floods relentlessly. Just gets absolutely drowned.
That's how you send the message that the park is closing in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
just flood out the customers.
Exactly. That's how you get it. It's like, Sin will be attacking in 5 minutes. Please proceed to the nearest exit.
Oh man. Should we have a hotel on the property? Do you have any ideas for a hotel?
Ooh. I mean, they have inns, but do we ever see like past the opening?
I don't believe we do.
I think it's just a little lobby thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly every room would have a Spira theme to it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's got to be like a cactar room. There's got to be an Ixion room. Once again, Waka's hair has to have a room unto itself. That's like a Waka room would be super gay, but I mean, that would also be, it's super gay. That's where the gay people go. That's the room that they would like.
Is it
we got a Waka room.
Jesus.
No, it's not segregated. You choose it.
It's where the gay people go.
But I mean, if it's the Waka room, I mean, I'm looking at a guy with doesn't wear a shirt. He's really fit and ripped, and he's just his image is all over the place. Come on.
There's a bachelorette party room you can reserve at the nightclub, and it's huge blown up pictures of all the buffness of everyone's muscles.
Hell yeah.
It's Waka, it's Waka and then Seymour with his ripped blue veiny body and his antler hair.
Oh my
man.
gosh.
Don't you want to get
I
wild?
I see a Seymour with his arms out as the head of the bed, and his chest is going down into the mattress, and then the mattress takes over, and it's just like a fuzzy blue mattress after his veins,
like a felt really really soft like you've been shampooing and conditioning your beard for a month now, and it's just super plush.
I think the entrance arch to go into the theme park could just be his hair. It's such a bizarre shape that it's it kind of just looks cool in Final Fantasy X-ish if we just chopped his hair off and made it huge. But I mean, there's so many weird character designs in this game. It's just crazy stuff.
You got to be able to buy at the shop. You got to be able to buy Titus's pants in whatever size.
Yeah.
Get a lederhosen vendor. Yeah,
it's the pant short slash mesh
overall. Yeah,
pant short. Whatever the heck that thing is, you can get it in all shapes and all shapes and sizes. I think that's important to have. Yeah. Everybody's got one of the cheap things you can buy is your own Seymour wig, right? It's just basically a big spider on top of a skull cap. But everybody's wearing one of those, running around the park.
That'd be funny if it's that floppy foam finger material. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's what we gotta have, man. Speaking of transport rides earlier, I think they gotta be in the little cages that they're trapped in when the church gets mad at them. They're all
those are the ride
it's
vehicles?
Just you instead of sitting down and you go over the whole park to what do you call those things? It's like a ski lift almost.
Yeah.
And you're just over the whole park. It's the ski lift, but you're in a cage and you have to just stand there. There's no sitting down. You're in prison until the ski lift operator opens up your door, lets you get out.
I think it'd be cool to do some ride vehicles that are themed after different weapons in the game, because there's some really cool color schemes and some cool lines that you could replicate. Either, I guess, ride vehicles or maybe hotel rooms, the ones that aren't specific themed. They can be a little bit more subtle, or the lobby could I don't know, have the colors and some of the lines of Titus's sword or Yuna's staff thing. You could just kind of take those motifs and make a pretty classy experience out of it, while it's pretty clearly a reference.
They can be in hot dog stands and stuff like that, just in the design of each of the little structures throughout the park.
A funnel cake or a pretzel that's shaped like Yuna's little bubble blower on her wand. It'd be awesome.
Bubble. I've never thought about that as a bubble blower. That is now.
I was just gonna say wand, and then in my head a bubble blower popped up. That's kind of what it looks like.
And now that's the thing that they hand out to all the kids, and there's tons of bubbles all over the place. And bubbles make sense with FF10 because there's spheres everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you go.
We did
The
it.
bubbles. All right.
Cool. Is there anything else you guys go ahead.
I'm officially out of ideas for this park.
I think I am too, unless something else like pops up based on something you guys say.
No, I think that's about it. I was thinking about adding a water section to it, but like I don't know if I want it to be one of those kind of theme parks, because the stuff with Sin, that'd be fun. I think the only water thing I would have is just the flooding of the food area, and that's like a way to clean it out too,
Yeah.
It's like
we just dump all the trash into the ocean. It's like you send a fake tide through to just sweep everything off, and it just goes off into the ocean.
Yeah, and we don't have to deal with it anymore, right?
Right.
It's a good way to take care of the mess every day. We just have like a dam that's holding back like 20 feet of sea level or whatever, and we just like bring it in.
Mm-hmm. That'll work.
Drain it back out. Start again tomorrow.
And it costs like 40 times more than just having a whole team of janitors, but cooler and more thematic.
It's awesome when we get to watch our trash just drift out to sea, be sent.
It's been sent.
Yeah, the spirit of the McDonald's cup is now sent to the far plane. Oh,
we do that with the Lost and Found once a week too. We send it.
That's the far plane, is the Lost and Found. That's where you go to find your stuff.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's really cute.
Where is that scarf? You walk in and just a scarf just appears from the mist. Oh, hey, there it is. Thank you.
That's cute.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have though. Just the little mini games. Yeah.
Coasters.
Chocobo legs instead of turkey legs.
Food items, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of chicken is being served. A lot of chicken and fish.
Yeah, definitely. Oh.
Spira is not really a beef world. So I guess it would be like Sin. It'd be like bits of Sin.
Yeah, the Sin spawn. You get to cook up Sin spawn.
Sin spawn steak. Sin spawn steakhouse. For sure.
That's appetizing.
Only the finest cuts.
Wow. That's cool. And those little spiky things, are those the Sin spawn with the like spiky shell type of things? Those could be used as like the chair backs in the restaurant, are like those shell looking things.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. And you know what? Speaking of like the weird little TVs in their world, like the little the pine, what are you, not a pine cone, a honeycomb kind of thing going on there. That has to be somehow like involved in like the what, like all your tables and shit have to, like your table has to be based upon the honeycomb kind of eating area. There's got to be something to do with that. I don't know if they like light it up and stuff, so it's all like bright and orange. But I'd be into that.
Yeah, there's a ton of additional like other little design elements that we could go into, but like I think we got the big broad strokes of it. But if we had the time to go back through and play Final Fantasy X just looking for more theme park inspiration, we'd probably find some more stuff. So maybe the audience can find some things in their next playthrough and let us know on social media or whatever. It'd be kind of cool.
Sweet.
Was that your first theme park that you guys have ever designed?
Yeah.
That was pretty good. And for not having an exact topic until literally on the air, like that's pretty sweet. I'm impressed with you guys. That was awesome. I didn't think you could do it. You did.
Well,
hey now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I know you guys are pretty much verified experts. Like that's amazing. That was all off the top of their heads. That's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. Schweiss was like, hey, this guy wants to create a theme park with us. I'm like, wow, I wish you had told me so I could have prepped a little bit, Schweiss.
I assumed you guys talked about all this stuff, because like, we've been in conversation for like months now, and you didn't know about it until today.
Schweiss sees everything and I don't. So this is how it works.
I think I mentioned it to him when you first talked to me, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool. We should make a time for that." And then like months passed, and it just slipped from Joe's memory. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, theme park thing. Yeah, Joe. By the way, that's what we're doing."
That's what we're doing today. All right,
hey,
cool.
You made it. And if you decide, there's another world you'd want to do, I'd love to have you guys on again. Or match up again. Maybe, I don't know what the right words are, but us work together again in the future, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I know this is different than your average, episode for sure on your show. So I don't know. Hopefully people like it.
Yeah,
hopefully.
And if you guys do, you can follow. What do you got for social media? What's your plugs?
Yeah, good or bad feedback, hit me up. AmusementSparks.com, Amusement Sparks on Facebook, Amusement Sparks on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And it can be found in your podcast app. Cool.
Sweet. We are Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. You can go to ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGollier, DeGolyer is how you spell the last name.
Yeah, you can tweet me at UFF Podcast.
And we got a couple other shows. We got a Game of Thrones podcast called A Song of Schweiss and Johnson. I have a Godzilla podcast called The Godzilla Podcast. And then our sister show is called Nude Clan. Now, we were told that this is a family-friendly show, so that is not a family-friendly show, so just FYI. In fact, none of our shows except for the Godzilla podcast are family-friendly shows.
Yeah.
So there's your little warning there. But yeah, if you like Godzilla, if you like Game of Thrones, if you like Final Fantasy, if you like video games, well, we've got a show for you somewhere on our Geekdom Entertainment Network, so go check us out.